Yeah, I know. This is a strange video to be coming just days after I posted this. Yeah, I just posted a video talking about pretty much how Splatoon Raiders kind of broke my heart. And the main reason I posted that video was to simply talk about how I had expectations of the game being a certain way and it didn't turn out that way. Which is fine, you know, that's my fault for having those expectations. But oh goodness gracious, y'all didn't like that. So no, this isn't a video of me apologizing or saying I'm sorry for having my opinion that I did, but I will say, yes, I shouldn't have had the preconceived notion that this game was going to be like what I thought it was, and if it isn't, I'm not going to like it. But to make a long story short, I kind of just expected this spinoff to be pretty much what we've been getting with the hero story modes, but one full big hero story mode single player with, you know, platforming missions and the whole lot. And it turns out that this is nothing like that at all. Instead, it's kind of an expansion on what we've gotten from Salmon Run and even Side Orders DLC from Splatoon 3. Now, I simply just had to tell myself, look, this isn't the big story mode game that you was hoping it was going to be, but that's fine. It's something different. And honestly, the more I watched the trailer and the more I've seen some screenshots that Nintendo posted, this is also kind of what I wanted in a way. Let me explain. About 3 years ago, I posted a video titled "A Terrifying New Mode is Coming to Splatoon 3." Now in this video, I was trying to theorize a new Salmon Run type of mode to come, something that was more akin to Call of Duty Zombies, which I already believe that this mode is based off of, where you unlock new areas and progress further with your team. And even though the main story with Mr. Grizz in Splatoon 3 helped to explain the story of the Salmonid, there is still so many uncovered secrets to talk about, like the giant vault door that was protecting something in Grizzco, or the creepy sounds coming from the sewers in Splatsville. Ultimately, I came to the conclusion of Nintendo giving us something like a story mode but for Salmon Run, with expansive levels instead of us just fighting on the same tiny islands over and over again. In the video, I even made comparisons to things like Pikmin 2, and now even Pikmin 4 since that game is out, where it has underground dungeons, where there can be little underground missions that we have to take on and defeat creepy Salmonid down in the sewers. I even compared the likes of this to stuff like Metroid Prime Federation Force and The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. I know these aren't great games to bring up, but still, these are co-op action-adventure games that bring you through a story that you can complete with others. At the end of the day, I just wanted to see more from Salmon Run. I thought it was a cool mode, but it just really never has been for me. I wanted something more expansive, and I didn't even realize this when this game was announced, that this could have been that mode that I was asking for as well a long time ago. I was just too stuck on a brand new hero mode style of game to recognize it. So I can admit, I was stupid. I'm still not a huge fan of Salmon Run, but I feel like this game in particular could actually make me a bigger fan. A game that actually has some structure to it, some level design, and an actual mission for you to complete while also taking on Salmonid, upgrading your gear, and having tons of new gear as well. And I think there's something to be said about a Salmon Run style mode that actually has you playing alone and not relying on 3 others, because I think that's been one of my biggest problems with Salmon Run, is having 3 other players that just really weren't that good, causing me to lose a lot more than I felt like I should have. But also with some new screenshots and a second inspection, I think this game is going to be a lot more than even just Salmon Run. For instance, in this scene, take a look at the map. At the top left, you see click ZL to see the dungeon menu, and this is something that we really haven't touched a lot on, because what is the dungeon menu? This is just the overworld map as to where you can go and take out Salmonid in order to collect treasure. But what would the dungeon menu offer? Well, when you look at the level design in Splatoon Raiders, you'll notice that the overworld is very thick and wide paths. This is for you to fight giant, large waves of enemies. And in pretty much every single scene we've seen so far, it looks like that's all there is, are these giant overworld paths that are very wide for you and your mech buddy to fight off giant, large armies of Salmonid. It's not really focused on tight, precise platforming or anything like that. It's more of an adventure that you'll take in bigger areas. But then we come to this lava looking area, and once again, the paths do look very large. There seems to be some sort of purple balloon that maybe, you know, it's a unique item for this area to help us fly around or something like that. For instance, like reaching the middle island here in the center. But then they give us this screenshot, which is drastically different from anything we've seen so far. This stage seems to be very tight and confined, and reminds me of a hero mode mission. You even have the calamari rings returning from the single player, and even a practice dummy to shoot with whatever weapon that you bring in here. And to the right seems to be an hourglass, almost as if you can do this mission in a time trial. Something else that's interesting is it looks like you land on a Bunsen burner in order to enter these areas, and what I'm thinking is going to happen is your mech partner is going to be halted here at the very beginning, meaning you're all on your own on these missions, which means it's probably going to be platforming based since you don't have this giant mech to worry about walking around. So my theory is that these are dungeons or little trials that you'll be able to complete. Think of the hero mode story missions, where you jump into a kettle in order to enter a short little obstacle course mission, and the world's full of these things. And in every Splatoon game, you go through a little entrance area or just jump off the starting pad and go into the level. And you'll have some predetermined laid out kit for you dedicated to that mission. But in the recent installments, you can actually choose what weapon you take into each mission, or the mission itself might give you 3 different options to choose from. I feel like we might be seeing stuff like this in Splatoon Raiders. Instead of a floating obstacle course in the sky, it's now tied to the world, as this one's going throughout an underground sewer or septic tunnel. And what if the way to find these things is to drill through these crystal-like structures? You can see this seems to be a giant battlefield where you'll probably fight off tons of salmonid, maybe even a boss salmonid, and then once you defeat it, you'll be able to drill and mine the crystal, opening a giant hole into an underground dungeon. I mean, these crystals seem to be very important. It seems to be the main source of where you're going to find the treasure. I have a feeling that each island in the game is fully open world. Once you pick an island, you jump in, and you have a giant world to explore. Kind of think of big sandbox levels from like a 3D Mario 64 Sunshine or Odyssey game. When you jump into the map, the game will mark the crystals. Some will just have normal blue beacon lights, and some will even have swirls on them, maybe indicating a stronger crystal or potentially even a dungeon. And in some instances, you'll even find a red light that doesn't seem to coordinate with crystals, so perhaps the red light is actually where you'll find dungeons. I mean, we really can't make out what's over there besides some ruins and maybe some trees, but I'm not dismissing the crystal idea just yet, because they seem to be just far more important than just simply some treasure. They're always guarded and heavily protected. Although in this scene where they break the crystal apart, you can clearly see that there's no hole underneath. It just shoots out a bunch of collectibles, including a treasure chest, and leaves a pattern on the ground in the sand. So I don't know for sure if the crystals are going to be what takes us to these dungeons, or maybe those red light beams that we gotta find. But either way, it's very clear to me that Nintendo's hiding something, and I think it's safe to say that this game is going to actually be pretty cool for Salmon Run fans and maybe even non-Salmon Run fans. Now, Splatoon Raiders doesn't come out until July, so there's still a lot of time for them to show us more, and I'm hoping they are hiding some big major thing about this game, which they'll reveal at a later time. But big open world areas to explore and take out groups and armies of salmonid, and potentially even some underground story mode like missions to complete. I mean, man, if those are like shrines to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or maybe like the challenge rooms from Donkey Kong Bonanza, this could be so freaking awesome. But let me know down below, are you more excited for Splatoon Raiders? Maybe you're less excited? And just let me know what you're hoping to see in the game. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.